Hey, what's going on, everyone? So continuing on with our education about how to improve specific aspects of the sport in the off season, we're going to be talking about gymnastics today. So the first thing that we always want to do is kind of assess where an athlete is at. For gymnastics, what we're going to do is we're going to test your static hold, your strict capacity, your weighted capacity, and then we'll have capacity-based testers for your gymnastics movements. So the first thing that we want to do is with a static position, figure out whether you're able to hold these positions or not. So we'll start with something like a chin over the bar hang, a wall facing handstand hold, or a handstand hold against the wall. When we get some metrics on this will be able to tell us whether you are capable of moving on to the next step, which is performing the movement strict, or if we need to develop some of that strength. If you're at this kind of ability level, the static level, we'll be doing a lot of holds with you and a lot of negative work with you. This will just help refine positions, get you to learn your body and space a little bit better, which is kind of the barrier to entry for strict gymnastics movements. So next step up is strict. So these would be testers like max unbroken pull-ups, max unbroken strict handstand push-ups, ring dips, push-ups, a lot of just basic gymnastics movements to give us an idea of where you're at strength-wise. Once you reach a certain threshold of strict work, we can move you on to weighted work. If you're kind of stuck at this level, what we would be doing with you is performing a lot of volume work, and we'll get into that in a little bit here. So the next portion is weighted work. If you're at weighted work, you pretty much have the prerequisites to do capacity testing as well. So these two kind of go hand in hand. They also play into each other very well in regards to you can improve your capacity on movements and drive up your weighted work. Vice versa, you can improve your weighted work and drive up your capacity. And we'll get into that a little bit more in a little bit here. So once we get an idea of where you're at, we kind of assess and break down what we need to do with you. So we talked about the static, we talked about the strict, but if we have limitations in strength, there can be a couple different areas that we need to work on with that. So absolute strength. What does your skill look like? So you might be strong enough, but our capacity tester might tell you that you don't have the skill requisite to perform something like a 5-minute MRAP of butterfly chest to bar, a 5-minute MRAP of kipping handstand push-ups. So that would be the next portion that we have to work on. What do your positions look like? Do these need refinements? Is this something that we can look to fix to improve maybe something like a capacity or a weighted tester? And then what is your capacity like? So that last final kind of bit of the tester gives us some solid information on where you're at in the sport. So from this capacity point, we can look at what do we need to improve? Is it volume, strength endurance, or is there a physiological limiter like something like lactate threshold that is holding you back? Or are you breathing and then artificially not breathing and artificially creating a physiological limitation in your gymnastics? So once we get that capacity tester in, we kind of chat with the athlete, figure out where they might be in regards to limitations inside of those kind of 5 criteria, and then we'll build a template based off of that. So we have our kind of 4 other areas. Are they at the static position still? Are they at the strict capacity tester, or are they at a weighted requisite or a capacity requisite? Then we kind of assess from there and build a template out from there. So there's kind of, once you have completed that or gotten to that capacity level, there's kind of 3 different things that we're looking to improve, and we have sessions up here for each of those things. So the first one's a volume session. We have 10 sets of C2 bike 20 cals at 1,000 cals per hour, 850 cals per hour. Right now we have toes to bar cluster in a 4.4.4 setting. This is so that the athlete doesn't accumulate a bunch of lactate and accumulate a bunch of fatigue. We're focused solely on developing the volume of the movement. So in something like this, you would get a total of 120 toes to bar over the course of likely a 30 to 40 minute session. Or if the athlete's a little bit more skilled and we've found something in their sport where they have trouble holding on to large sets of a gymnastics movement inside of a workout, we can train that capacity. So typically we like to train at 40% of your maximum gymnastics capacity. So if somebody has 40 unbroken toes to bar, we can train them at a 10% or 10 toes to bar sets, and that will not accumulate a ton of fatigue for the individual, but it should drive up their absolute strength capacity inside of a gymnastics movement, which, if that is a limitation for the individual, will get them better at holding on to bigger sets in the sport. Perfect example of this would be the games workout with the 75 bike 75. Athletes were having to hold on to rather large sets of those gymnastics movements at the time. So this would be a good training piece for that, to set a base and eventually drive up that maximum holdable set range. So still a volume set with it's a little bit of a density mixed in there, but it'll still act as more of a volume set. The next piece we have is a strength endurance piece. And what this looks like is a little bit of traditional density work. So you have a superset of 4 different movements: pull-ups into chest bars, into ring muscle ups, and then into weighted pull-ups. So traditionally, when you see density sets like this built out, the weighted work tends to be at the top of the of the superset. And that is done most of the time to fatigue your fast twitch muscle fiber or skill demand from there. We see those weighted pull-ups at the bottom there. We're teaching the body how to contract hard while fatigued. This has worked well for a lot of our athletes this last year, and we're going to continue putting this in, and we'll see their gymnastics numbers rise really quickly. The last one we have is our lactate endurance. So we're going to ski erg 500 meters at 4 seconds from your 2K pace. And then you're gonna go where we kind of talked about it already, 40% of your max unbroken chest to bar pull-ups. So this is gonna drive some pre-fatigue lactate with that ski erg, and then we're gonna try and work to complete your 40% of your max unbroken chest to bars as quickly as possible and drive up a ton of your lactate during this. And so you'll rest 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes between this, and you'll perform this for 3 sets roughly. You'll get a little bit of volume in there, but you'll definitely get a lot of lactate endurance inside of this session. So hopefully this helps out, guys. Hopefully this gives you an idea of how we look at gymnastics and how we like to train gymnastics. Personally, being a bigger athlete in the sport, I've had to work on this a lot. I also coach a lot of bigger athletes in the sport, so we've developed a lot of different protocols to help them out with gymnastics and get them up to the level that they want to compete at. So if this is something you're needing to work on, hit us up. We would love to be able to help you. We've got a lot of experience doing this. Hopefully this gives you guys some good ideas for your training.